So welcome back to the Dadskillz car channel. Now, it's been a big week this week for the Mini project, as my bank balance will attest to. Bought loads of parts for the engine. The engine is back together and it's in the car. Nothing's connected, but it's in the car. So let's take a look at that process and how we got there. So I filled up various parts of the head and the block with gasket remover and decarbonizer. Left it for a couple of hours, came back and just wanted to see if any of that had leaked away anywhere, and they were both absolutely fine. We have oil pump off. That came off fine, apart from, yeah, you can't see it in there, but there was one Torx head thing here, bolt there. That turned to cheese as soon as I touched it. So I had to drill it out and then get something to grab hold of it and turn it. That was fine. We have the sump off. We can now replace this leaking gasket. I've taken the pickup off. That's there, just to see if that had anything to do with our low oil pressure. That's fine. We'll renew that little, what's it called? Gaskety thing. Stick that back on. And then there's no reason why we can't start building this back up. Renew this gasket, put the sump back on, then we can turn it over the proper way and crack on. See. Right. Okay. We haven't got any one of them. The method for tightening up head bolts on these engines is torque them down to 40 Newton meters of torque. I left it, I went away and had a cup of tea, had a bite to eat, came back, made sure they were all still on 40, and then you've got to use an angle of 90 degrees. Now, I bought a little thing off Amazon. It's like an intermediary, if you like, between your wrench and the actual bolt itself. It's absolute rubbish. So in the end, I ended up marking the bolts and using that mark as my 90-degree angle. Is it accurate enough? I bloody hope so. But you certainly learn a few things, so next time I ever do this, I'll get 2 torque wrenches, one for smaller numbers and a bigger one that's actually got an audible setting and an angle setting on it. Right, getting the timing right is relatively straightforward. We have this new chain that's been marinating overnight in engine oil. We've got one copper link for this little marker there, and then down on the crankshaft we've got those two little markers for those two copper links. So we'll put the guides in, put the tensioner in, and then we might put the rocker cover on and get it something like weather tight so it can stay out here, which is cool. Very cool. We're in. On our mark up there, we've got our guide rails in. We're on our marks down there. So now I just need to put this tensioner in here. So I'll go in there, and that will go on there, and that gets done up to 63 Newton meters. The piston is fully compressed, so you put it in, do that up, and then push this back onto it, and that uncompresses that, and now we have tension. Perfect. I just wanted to crack on with that. So we're all on. Spark plugs, change the seals there, change this gasket here. Show you, this is the old one. It's brittle. You can tell it's 20 years old, but the new one is lovely and soft. So we've got all this to do. This will come off. Seals there will come off. That seal will come off. Just waiting for new bolts now for this. So that's very cool. I thought I'd be excited, but I'm just a little bit nervous, I think. Let's see if it's going to be okay. Look at that, that's crazy. Ah! Okay, let's have a little mid-video sit rep. So, I've replaced, as you saw, a couple of those seals. The seal around here on the end. Now all I've got to do is replace this, what's that, wizard sleeve or whatever it's called. I'm sure that's the correct term for it. That can go on there. Clutch has come, so now we can replace this thrust bearing. I have a new oil filter housing seal and a man filter. Those can go back on. Now this is the recommended IP67 covering for the engine, stop it getting wet if it rains. Other stuff we've got going on. New pipe, because the other one, I'll show you that at some point, was badly deteriorated and rusty. So that's a new one of those. I've rust remedied it, that should be fine. Oil filter housing to go back on. Silicone hoses. Over here we have a new bumper to replace that one. Bought for 100 quid. I shall show you at a later date why I chose to buy a new one. But we've got a nice new indicator side lights in here. New number plate stuck on. Much better condition than the other one. Right, let's crack on. Better? I think so. Nice. This pipe is the one I bought a replacement for. As you can see, I don't think that's long for this world down there. New seal is coming for the crank end, so we'll replace that, then I can put everything back together. Oil filter housing. I've looked over this and I can't see anything wrong with it. We have a little pressurised spring there, that works fine. In the top here we have our black spring there, works fine. And then we've got another spring in the bottom of there, works fine. So I don't think there's anything wrong with this. So now we've also got new pressure switch. If you remember from the previous video, some time ago now, we replaced this, and the replacement, when I put it in, this bit started turning, and then we still ended up with oil pressure issues. So I wonder if that was part of the problem, but this doesn't turn this bit separate to that bit. So nice new seal, something like that. Is that right? Oh my god, it's like a... Yeah, that's right there. Is it? Right, bear with me. So, we actually have the correct part now, as you can see. That's that. That was the old one, which is a weird shape. That's the one we want, with not quite so many curves and undulations in it. Now, bloke in JR Car Parts said we don't do them, but they sell them from BMW for £6. So I actually went to Mini. They were useless, to be fair. So we go straight to BMW. And how much do you actually reckon it was, including the VAT? That was £21.29. Wow, it's no wonder cars of this age get scrapped when, you know, when they're fixable, but the price to actually fix them is not, as that bloke says on his channel, not economically viable. So I can now get that on. Ah! Well, here we are. The culmination now of a couple of weeks of work. All that work we did on the subframe and the struts, and putting the engine back together. I have put some oil in the engine because I'm paranoid I'm going to forget. So it's got a bit in there. All we got to do is get it in, and that'll be the end of this video. But you just start asking yourself now, have I pushed that crank end seal in too far? Did I do enough work on that head? Did I scrape enough of that old head gasket away? Has this solved the oil pressure issue? Loads of questions, and the biggest thing I've had to face, to be honest, is my own patience. I'm not blessed with a lot of patience, and so this will be a test of whether my patience was enough. Right, let's get her in. Oh, well, there we are. She's in. She's tightened up. She ain't going anywhere. That's on. The mount under the bottom there is on. And to be honest with you, I'm just going to crack straight on. Everything behind the engine will be next. Do that up. Get the wheels back on maybe. But for you, that'll be in the next video. So I'll see you soon.